Hello, I'm Priscilla Archangel, and I have a faith-centered leadership message for you. In the spotlight. How would you handle it if you were suddenly thrust into the spotlight in front of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe even millions of people? I have a couple of examples. Let's look at Robert Gates. Now, Robert Gates recently retired as the U.S. Secretary of Defense. He was appointed by President George W. Bush and asked to continue to serve by President Barack Obama. So he served under both a Republican and a Democratic president, which is a little unusual because most presidents, particularly from a different political party, will want to come and appoint their own leadership team. But Robert Gates held his military leadership responsible and accountable in ways that made him highly respected among not only the military community, but worldwide, because he handled turmoil in countries such as Pakistan, Afghanistan, and throughout the Middle East. Another example, a few years earlier, is David. When David killed Goliath, David suddenly went from simply being a shepherd of his father's flock to being a soldier in the Israelite army and a statesman. King Saul, in fact, placed him over the entire Israelite army as he went on to lead them in killing tens of thousands of Philistines. So the women in that day sang and danced in the street and said, "Saul slew his thousands, and David slew his 10,000s." Now you can imagine that made King Saul just a tad mad. And in fact, Saul went on to try and kill David. His jealousy was so great. But David handled himself with great integrity. He never ever tried to get back at Saul for the things that Saul did to him. But he was well respected throughout the entire area, not only by the Israelites themselves, but by all their enemies. So how would you handle it if you were suddenly thrust into the spotlight? The spotlight of leadership will subject you to attacks both personally and professionally. The spotlight of leadership will expose your underlying motivations. The spotlight of leadership will show if you're really accountable to the God who placed you there. And the spotlight of leadership will show if you're really responsible to the people whom you serve. So how would you handle it? You can prepare now, in fact, because God may have a plan for you that is so grand to place you in a position of great responsibility for Him, but only if you're ready to handle the spotlight of leadership. So how will you handle that spotlight? Thanks for listening.